Tasmin prasanne sakalam disham Prabhu. Kim durlabam tabiralam lavatmabi. Ananya drishya bhajatam guhashaya. Swayam vidate swagatim parabharam. Prasanne sakalam nisham Prabhu. Kim durlabam tabiralam lavatmabihi. Ananya drishya bhajatam guhashaya. Swayam vidate swagatim paraparam. Tasmin prasanne sakala shisham Prabhu. Kim durlabam tabiralam lavat atmabi. Ananya drishya bhajatam guhashaya. Swayam vidate swagatim paraparam. Transliteration. Please repeat after me. Tasmin, unto him, prasanne, being pleased, sakala ashisham, of all benediction, Prabhu, unto the Lord. Kim, what is that? Durlabam, very difficult to obtain. Tabihi, with them. Alam, always. Lava atmabi, with insignificant gains. Ananya drishya, by nothing but devotional service. Bhajatam, of those who are engaged in devotional service. Guha ashayaha, residing within the heart. Swayam, personally. Vidate, execute. Swagatim, in his own abode. Para, the supreme. Param, transcendental. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Please repeat after me. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10, the Lord gives intelligence to the pure devotees so that they may be elevated to the highest perfectional stage. It is confirmed herein that a pure devotee who constantly engages in loving devotional service of the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For such a devotee, there is nothing valuable to be achieved. but the Lord's service. If one serves faithfully, there is no possibility of frustration because the Lord Himself takes charge of devotees' advancement. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and He knows the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. In other words, the pseudo-devotees who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfectional stage because the Lord is in knowledge of His motive. One merely has to become sincere in his purpose, and then the Lord is there to help in every way. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shuddhapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyasha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratise Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangish Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vakam karoti vatsalam pangolangayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Shritena Tharinam. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Tavai vasmi, tavai naiti vijna devi tavnai maham saranantikam. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfection stage by the Lord Himself, who is who is seated in everyone's heart. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to today's Bhagavatam class. We are continuing the chapter, The Appearance of Lord Varaha. These are the conclusive verses, yesterday's verse, today's verse, and tomorrow's verse. These are the conclusive verses by Maitreya Muni after after glorifying the appearance and divine activities of Lord Varaha. In yesterday's verse, Maitreya says, if one hears and describes in devotional service attitude this auspicious narrations of Lord Bore, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. So, within the heart of everyone, the same theme is repeated in this verse also, who is seated in everyone's heart. And again, this verse and tomorrow's verse, it's a repeated theme in Bhagavatam. This topic is touched throughout Bhagavatam in various chapters. Also in other scriptures, this particular theme is discussed. So here, pleasing the Lord is what's discussed is about pleasing the Lord. We living entities decided to enjoy independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So not just enjoy, but enjoy independent of the Lord. So when we decided to enjoy independent of the Lord has created this material world for us to enjoy without the association of the Lord or His devotees. So being here, different living entities have different desires. Someone has desire to enjoy the material nature, and somebody wants to acquire knowledge. Somebody actually decides that they're not interested in the material nature, they want liberation. And some of them understands the true nature of themselves and the Lord, and they also want to go back to their true nature. So all these individuals, all these various personalities, people in various desires, their desires get satisfied only when the Lord is pleased. So even if they want to enjoy materially, they can't enjoy unless they have the mercy of the Lord. So there is also enjoyment. There are two kinds of enjoyment. One is dharmic enjoyment, one is adharmic enjoyment. We are not talking about adharmic enjoyment. Adharmic enjoyment, by some good fortune, you have some material opulence and you misuse it, not according to how it should be used. And that becomes dharmic. So we are not, adharmic. So we are not talking about adharmic gratification. A simple example, if a person has a desire to make money, there is two ways of making money. One, they go and get a job, work, and get money. So that's, dharmic way of doing, even within the laws of the government. That's a dharmic way of doing. There is adharmic way of doing. You can go and steal the money, or you can go and snatch money from somebody else. So that's adharmic way of enjoying. So here, when it comes to civilized world, civilized individuals, we are talking about dharmic way of enjoying. There's nothing called adharma mishra bhakti. There's only dharma mishra bhakti, or karma mishra bhakti, or bhakti. Even if you want to enjoy your senses, has to be done through dharma. So through doing dharma, which is karma yoga or karma kanda, the Lord you're pleasing the Lord. Some other way you're engaging the Lord in that activity. And by pleasing the Lord offers you the results, and through the results you can enjoy, even from a material, from a purely enjoyment point of view. What is that verse in Brahma Samhita? Yad bhava bhavita diyo manujastadaiva samprapya rupa mahima sanayana bhushaha suktaivam eva nigama pratitaishtuvanti govindamadi purusham tamaham brajami. So even the demigods or people with a lot of opulence, even if they want to enjoy, according to this verse, have yad bhava. They have devotion towards the Lord in their heart. Through that devotion, and the Lord understands their desires, and He gives them what He gives. Sampradam, rupa beauty, some rupa asana, what is that? Some rupa, yad bhava bhavita diyo manujastadaiva, samprapya rupa mahima. He gives rupa, the beauty, mahima, the glories, asana, the throne, yana means conveniences. In yana, in Sanskritized Tamil, yana means a pot, which is used for conveniently cooking. So yana means also convenience, all the convenience provided. So these are all provided by the Lord when He is pleased. So if you have desire, if you have material desire to enjoy, it doesn't just come by. It comes by pleasing the Lord. So this verse talks about, Brahma talks about the demigods who achieved great positions, including himself, and his sons, Indra, Chandra. They all have achieved all this opulence because they have worshipped the Lord. And they recognize their desire and they worship the Lord. And out of the costless mercy of the Lord, they get to enjoy this. It's not Brahma is glorious by himself that he have managed to accumulate all these conveniences so that he can enjoy himself. Nor Indra, he could be the king of heaven. And he is the most glorious person when it comes to enjoyment within this material world. He has all the power, all the beauty within the material world to enjoy. And he hasn't got it by his own endeavors. He has got it by worshipping the Lord, by the third verses by chanting or praying to the Lord by selected verses, the suktas, various suktas like Purusha Sukta, Vishnu Sukta, Narayana Sukta. So all the suktas, when the demigods need something, they go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and they pray to Him using this nigama, this suktas from the Vedas. And the Lord reciprocates with their desires. Of course, this is for people who want to enjoy materially. This is the path for people who want to enjoy materially. But the very next line says it's insignificant. All this material enjoyment is insignificant for somebody who understands the true nature, the true meaning of life. All these are insignificant. So one is not interested, a person who is transcendentally situated and have achieved transcendental knowledge, understands all this material enjoyment, both adharmic or dharmic, is insignificant. If you perform adharmic, of course, it drags you down, makes you more ignorant, or it's just a matter of delaying suffering. And if you are dharmic, again, dharmic way of enjoyment, they know it is temporary. And any enjoyment derived from temporary object is temporary because the object is going to disappear. So the enjoyment what the object is going to give you is also going to disappear. For example, when you buy a nice new phone, you spend like $1,000 to buy it. It gives temporary enjoyment because after a few years, the phone will die or get damaged or won't work. So the happiness derived from that object finishes with the lifetime of that object. So it doesn't continue. So the happiness derived from anything material has an expiry date. If you buy a carton of milk, it says expiry date. So after that, there is no enjoyment derived from that particular object because the object has expired. So the happiness derived is temporary. So a person who is situated in transcendence, has the knowledge, understands that happiness derived from temporary objects is temporary. And of course, we are all Sachidananda Vigraha. We have the inert desire to be happy. We know that we want to be happy. It's not like we want to be miserable. Nobody gets out on the first thing in the morning and say, I want to be miserable. No, everybody wants to be happy. So we know we have an inert desire to be happy or to be in a joyful, enjoying mood. But so one has to, understand where he can get that enjoyment. So going forward in this verse, it says the Lord Himself gives that knowledge for somebody who is sincere and faithful. He gives them the knowledge. And Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Tesham sadada yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam cha thanam, what's it? Yanamam upajanti te. Yeah? Is it yanamam upajanti te? Yeah, upajanti te, yeah. So, Tesham sadada yuktanam. So, devotees, people who have understood that the temporary nature of the world and the need or the inert quality of themselves as spirit soul being Ananda Chinmaya Vigraha, who have faith in the Lord gives them the knowledge. And that knowledge is given for somebody who is Satata Yuktanam, Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. One constantly engages in the loving service of the Lord. So one has to understand their tattva, what they are. They are living entities, they are not this body, they are spirit soul. And the nature of the spirit soul is, Sachidananda Vigraha. And also, the activity or the dharma of the soul is to engage in devotion service of the Lord. And knowing that if they engage in devotion service of the Lord, satatam, not whimsically or not occasionally, not only on festival days, but satatam, daily, constantly. Satatam, then the Lord gives them the knowledge. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Gives them the knowledge within, because he is situated in the heart. 1861, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshu arjuna tishtati. I'm situated in everyone's heart, and I reveal this knowledge within the heart. And through that knowledge, one can firm up the faith and make progress. So the Lord facilitates the devotee's progression to achieve the real goal or ultimate goal of the Lord. And not only that, the Lord, as being situated in the heart, is the witness. 15:15. What is it? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matasmriti jnanam apohanam cha. Again, similar context. The knowledge and remembrance and forgetfulness comes from me, being me situated in the heart, Krishna says. So, if one has a sincere faith, one who is sincere, the Lord gives them the right knowledge to progress towards Him. If one is not sincere, the Lord knows again, because He is situated in the heart. He knows more than you. He is the ultimate witness. And He, knowing, the sincerity of an individual, distracts him or puts impediments because He knows that's not the desire of the individual. He tries to purify, depends on the faith of the individual. But the Lord knows, how pure our desires are. I may be sitting here talking Bhagavatam. The Lord knows if I'm speaking here for glorifying Bhagavatam or glorifying the Lord, or just to, showcase my so-called intelligence. Showcase my knowledge of, various slokas, or, my eloquence of speaking, if I have one. So the Lord knows within the heart why a person is performing activity, and, why is he performing? What is the reason for him performing? One might, sing kirtan, nice kirtan. Kirtan is performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. It is not performed for the satisfaction of the singer, of the individual. So, if one takes the harmonium and starts singing, one has to ask himself, am I singing this for the purification of the Lord, or to satisfy the crowd, or to satisfy myself? So, kirtan, performance of kirtan, is for the satisfaction of the Lord. It is not for the pleasure of the audience. We are not here to satisfy the musical need of the audience, or if the audience want to be in their meditative state. We're not here to satisfy whatever this reason apart from devotional services. We purely perform all these activities for the pleasure of the Lord. And if that activity has any byproduct, that's okay. You are performing a kirtan for the pleasure of the Lord, and if it pleases the audience as a byproduct, that's okay. But the focus is the performance of activity is done purely for the satisfaction of the Lord. So, by doing that, by having that conscious effort that every activity we are performing is for the satisfaction of the Lord within the heart knows the motive and promotes accordingly. Gives the opportunity, reveals himself. Because the scriptures, there's plenty of scriptures. There's, 18 volumes of Bhagavatam. There's Mahabharata. There's Ramayana. There's so many scriptures. And we with limited intelligence really can't understand everything. There's so much information. It's just especially me, I don't understand a lot of things. It just goes over your head. So our own effort of trying to understand the intricacies of the scriptures, what to speak of everything else, is very difficult. So only way we can understand is the Lord giving that dadami buddhi yogam within the heart. He's giving that knowledge. He's revealing the knowledge. So what we study is only theoretical understanding. And the application or the practical understanding, the realization, that comes from the heart. That is, that's the Lord Himself gives in the heart. And as a sadhaka, as a keen student or a person who is keen to achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to be conscious of this and make arrangements that every activity he is performing is for pleasing the Lord. So all the activities we perform, we have to ensure it is for the satisfaction of the Lord. So, first thing is giving up activities which are adharmic, which are going to distract one from the path. So one has to be conscious about it and consciously give up those activities, adharmic activities. Adharmic activities, in simple terms, to put it, is following 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So these are the basic things which are adharmic in nature, and one should consciously avoid these adharmic activities because this is going to drag you away from pleasing the Lord. And then there are, that's the cutoff, like the minimum requirement. And then if you go further, and then you have various, one has to be careful about various aparads, nama aparad, vigraha aparad, deity, offenses against the deities, offenses against the spiritual master. So one has to carefully avoid these offenses in order to achieve the ultimate goal of life, as the meaning of the verse we chant in the morning goes. So one has to carefully give up. So one of the primary things what we have to give up is the desire to enjoy, sense enjoyment. Desire to enjoy. Of course, we have to maintain ourselves. So it's a difference between maintaining ourselves and going overboard and trying to enjoy. So we need to, use our intelligence and understand what is required for me to maintain myself and where the cutoff is and where I'm going on the enjoying phase. So one has to understand that and work within the maintenance aspect, maintain themselves healthy, where the mind is peaceful. So, you perform carefully all these activities or avoid all these activities which are not beneficial to devotional service. And then engage in activities, simultaneously engage in activities which are pleasing to the Lord. Starting with Shravanam and Kirtanam. One has to hear carefully and chant carefully. And hearing doesn't just mean harmonium singing and hearing or chanting in the morning. Hearing also means hear the description of the Lord, the glories of the Lord. To understand the knowledge, try to acquire the knowledge from a qualified person. So, one trying to understand the scriptures, giving the hearing aspect and understanding the scriptures. Through that, gradually, Shravanam, Kirtanam, then chanting the glories of the Lord, then chanting. So one has to hear to know what you are performing. One has to understand why you are chanting. What is my dharma? Who am I? So you need to hear to understand all this, and then based on that you chant. So the chanting has strength, not just because you're doing it for the sake of doing it. Then it becomes like a mundane religion, like people been doing religiosity. Generally people don't want to be religious because they're just doing things for the sake of doing it. They don't understand why they are doing it. So one has to understand why they are doing it. So not just doing it for the sake of doing. So that understanding comes from, constantly hearing the scriptures from a qualified person, and through that one person performs kirtanam, and that kirtanam becomes powerful. And so this is Shravanam and Kirtanam is the a preliminary, or it's a process by which one starts to start pleasing the Lord. So avoid adharma, behavior, be yourself in a dharmic state, and then move forward through Shravanam and Kirtanam, and with sincere motives. And by doing so, a person gradually purifies himself, and the Lord Himself awards the knowledge. Here it says awards the knowledge, transcendental loving service to the Lord. So it's not just the knowledge; it's also the opportunity to perform that service. No one might have the knowledge, but he might, if there is no opportunity to perform the service, it's not. There's no engagement. So the Lord also offers that service engagement according to time, places, and circumstances. So if one is sincere, if he's not after nadanam, najanam, nasundarim, he's not after, he's not performing devotion service for dhanam, for wealth or followers or appreciation from the opposite sex, then if the situation is suitable, the Lord offers service opportunities. Okay, the service opportunity, again, it depends on the Lord's mercy. It's not like I want to preach, but if the Lord doesn't offer the opportunity to preach, we don't even, our preaching it doesn't work, because even we might have the desire to preach, following the Lord's instruction, but the opportunity is also provided by the Lord Himself. That's why sometimes we can see, in spite of a lot of effort, there is no success, because there may be reasons why the circumstances are not favorable, or it's not the desire of the Lord. You can say in Prabhupada's personal life, after he took sannyas, he tried to establish the Krishna consciousness movement in India, in various places, in Jhansi, in Allahabad, in Delhi. It wasn't easy. Prabhupada knew what he needs to do, and he was trying very hard, but it wasn't coming together, because the Lord has different plans. If Prabhupada happened to be successful in India, and he started a movement in Jhansi, if Prabhupada was successful, if you had built a big temple in Jhansi, you might have had 1,000 local Jhansi people joining. But in a grand scale, that success is insignificant. So Krishna had different plans. Prabhupada failed. Even in spite of his sincere desire, he failed, because Lord had a superior plan. His plan was Krishna's plan was to get Prabhupada to the West. So now Prabhupada has liberated many Jhansis, not just one. Even in scale of cities in India, Jhansi is not a big city. It's all right. It's not Bombay, or it's not Calcutta. It's not a metropolis. So it's a desire to perform the right activity, and also the Lord facilitating it. And the Lord knows the appropriate time and place and circumstances to facilitate. And if it is up to the Lord, if it is up to the mercy of the Lord, And the success or failure depends on that. But as devotees, our job is not about the success. We are not behind the success, because generally success relates to your own achievement. What you define as success is what I've achieved, according to me. Say, for example, if I make $1 million, that $1 million is my success. If you made $1 million, if you made $5 million, that's not a success for me. That's a success for somebody else. So I won't take it as a success factor. You know what I'm saying? Like there may be billionaires out there, their success is not, we're not enjoying their success. You know what I'm saying? So the point is, the activities or devotional service we perform is not based on the success factor. It is based on the desire of the Lord. If the Lord desires, the movement progresses, or whatever his desire is. If we have an opulent temple, or if you don't have an opulent temple, if you have a lot of people taking up Krishna consciousness, people not taking up Krishna consciousness, this is all the desire of the Lord, not our endeavor, or our desire. Our job is to engage in devotional service, and please the Lord. And by pleasing the Lord, the Lord reveals Himself, His desire, and then we act on it, and then success, not success, that's beyond. And how to please the Lord, how to understand His desire. Yes. What is that? The last verse of Samsara prayers. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadot. By serving the spiritual master, by serving the Vaishnavas, we can understand the desire of the Lord. We can get a glimpse of the desire of the Lord. And when the Lord is pleased, through serving the Vaishnavas and spiritual master, and He reveals Himself, His desire, and then we can act on it, and then that defines a success of our individual life. This is about ashraya, dependence on the Lord, taking complete shelter of the Lord, and then based on that complete surrender, one gets rewarded to achieve the Lord Himself. And the Lord is not for any others like jnanis or karmis or yogis. The Lord is not very easy to attain. Even by studying the Vedas, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham. Through Vedas, it's Durlabham. Even through having all the Vedic knowledge, it is Durlabham. But it becomes Adurlabham for Atma Bhakta. Similar word is used in this verse. Durlabham, Kim Adurlabham. What is the difficulty, as Prabhupada usually says? What is the difficulty? What is the rarity here? Because the Lord Himself provides the knowledge and the service opportunities. He creates all this for us. Vedeshu Durlabham, Adurlabham, Atma Bhakta. For one who is engaged in devotional service, the Atma Bhakta is very easily achieved. Again in Brahma Samhita, Ekopaso Rachayitam Jagadanda Koti, Pantasta Koti Satavatsara Sampragamya Vayurothapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam. Pantasta Koti Satavatsara, for Koti crores, millions of lifetimes, samvatsara, years, one engages in controlling the air or meditating, controlling the heart, or controlling the mind, or meditating, doing performance of various pranayama. They are all just trying to see the tip of the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's very difficult through those processes, going through all this Koti Satavatsara Sampragamya. Crores of years, hundreds and millions of years. But for a devotee, It's easily achieved. Durlavam, adurlavam atma bhakto. It is provided easily. Because that's the desire of the Lord. It's like a qualified son is the natural recipient of the wealth of the Lord. Goloka Premadana Harinama Sankirtan. The treasure house of Goloka, the wealth of the Lord is the holy name. The Goloka is the holy name, and that is, it's a natural the person to inherit him. Naturally, he is a qualified son. So the son doesn't need to do anything beyond. He doesn't need to prove himself or anything. He has to just be qualified. By being qualified, naturally the Lord gives. He wants to give his son. A parent wants to make sure his children get their hard-earned wealth. They make sure they write a will. When they're still alive, they buy whatever want to give the children. They want to give the children, given that the children are not spoiled. Given that they know the children are not going to blow it on the horses or on the casino, so they know the children are qualified. And as soon as the parents know the children are qualified or performing the right thing, naturally the wealth is given. Similarly, the Lord, the only wealth we the living entities, the intelligent living entities want is devotional service. And the Lord is very happy to give it to those people who are sincere, who are pure in heart, who are not contaminated by karma, jnana, or self-promotion, or enjoy their own senses. So the Lord is willing to give. He is as eager to give to the devotees more than the devotees are aspiring for. He is willing to give. He's the ocean of mercy. He is willing to give. And again, that's the incarnation of Mahaprabhu, and just the desire and willingness to engage everyone in devotion service. Yara dekho, tare kaho, Krishna Upadeshna. Encourage everyone. And Nityananda Prabhu is much more glorious. He even gives it to people who are not qualified. He even gives it to the most fallen. Even Mahaprabhu at least requires some qualification. He gives only to his devotees. And Nityananda even gives it to people who are not qualified. So the Lord is willing, very much willing, to give the wealth of devotion and service to the individual. And if we are qualified, and if the time, places, and circumstances are suitable for our upliftment towards the spiritual life, you immediately, you open the bank account, there's $1 million. That's a kind of, it's just there. It's just waiting. And so one has to keep the enthusiasm, knowing what's on offer, and faithfully, perform devotion service. Consciously avoid anarthas. As an adult, consciously, children might do things subconsciously. They don't know, if they're doing right or wrong. They need guidance. Adults, we are much more conscious. We know what is right, what is wrong. If you're dealing with somebody, some other devotee, if you're dealing with anything, you're performing your task, you always ask yourself, am I doing this for the satisfaction of the Lord? Or am I doing this to prove my superiority? So if one acts on that principle, is it for me or is it for the Lord? And naturally, you will act in the most favorable way which pleases the Lord. And if you don't know what is the favorable way to act, take guidance from people who are expert, and with their guidance, act on things. So, a person is always conscious. Every activity is done with consciousness. Anything you do is done with consciousness. Is this going to please Krishna? Is this for my highest salvation. Then actually the world becomes a much more peaceful place. There'll be no quarrel even between devotees. One will be asking, oh, I'm chastising this person just to establish my superiority? Or, is it my role to chastise? Or, so all the anarthas immediately disappears as soon as one places themselves in that mood. People always say, oh, politics, oh, there's so much politics, Prabhu. If one acts on this principle, there'll be no politics, because one would, a performer would know why is a particular task done in a certain way. It's not to prove my superiority. So then the process becomes very enlivening and encouraging to everyone. There's no discouragement. And if there is any failure, if you are sincere, you would know that it is not the desire of the Lord, or it's not the right time, place, and circumstances, or it might not be beneficial. So there's no need to break our head. We may try to, for example, you want to build a temple. You may be for 20 years trying to build a temple and you didn't even put a brick on. And first question is, am I sincere? The next question is, maybe the Lord it's not the will of the Lord. So these are things one has to delicately try to understand, because what's on offer is very important. You don't want to waste time or misuse time in pursuing things which are not favorable. What is that? Lot is on stake. Lot is on stake. So so one has to be conscious, then Krishna conscious. Then we are doing it for the Lord. Why am I doing? I'm doing it for the Lord, being Krishna conscious. And that's the success of devotees. And the Lord Himself, takes care. There's a very similar verse sung by Andal in Tirupavai, the first verse. Narayana Parai Tarvan. He Himself, Narayana Namakku Parai Tarvan. Once a person who are engaged in devotional service, the Lord Himself, He gives it. You don't need to even ask for it. He gives it Himself. Whatever the ultimate benefit is for us, He gives it. She, Andal says, she's like proud. She says, He gives it Himself. There's nothing for me to worry about. The Lord Himself gives it. So that's a guarantee a devotee has. He doesn't need to worry about, am I going to make it or am I not going to make it? That's we have to do is engage in devotional service with pure heart and mind. That's all we got to do. Rest, the Lord Himself gives it. He is eager, willing. So naturally a devotee is not overwhelmed with things. That makes him sama. It makes him equiposed and performs his devotional service enthusiastically. I will finish there. If you have any questions, comments, corrections, realizations. Yes, bro. More and more Krishna consciousness, more and more conscious of Krishna. The nature of us is to be in autopilot. That's an conditioning nature. We just want to be in autopilot so we can have our mind doing something else. We want to enjoy through every possible ways. We want to enjoy doing things, but at the same time we want to enjoy with our mind somewhere else. So, by practice, one is conscious. Also, I guess, you want to get up for Mangalarati. You're not getting up, because you like sleeping and you want to get up for Mangalarati because you want to go to Mangalarati. So you kind of remind yourself in a daily life, and I'm doing this task so that it will be pleasing Krishna. So, start, slowly and then extend it to rest of our lives. And also be conscious that we have the tendency to go autopilot. Sometimes, you remember putting your hand into the bead bag, and you remember getting the hand out of the bead bag and 16 rounds are chanted, but you don't remembering even one word. Did I even hear one word of Krishna? That's our nature. That's our nature, because we tend to enjoy in every, exploit every senses. What to do? It's generally in a civilized society. When I say civilized, I mean like in a varnashram society. Things are peaceful. The reason for varnashram is it's peaceful, so the agitations are less. So one may be much more conscious of what they are doing. They're much more conscious of what they are doing. And we don't have that, so it is a natural struggle. But, abhyasam, by practice, we try. We try. Again, it's a sincerity, and we try. If the mind goes away, we try to bring it up. For example, you might go to the markets. You might ask yourself, "Why am I going to the market? To just get out of the temple, just go for a drive. I'm sick of staying with these guys. I just want to get out, have some fresh air, deal with normal people." That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, I'm going to the market so I can buy vegetables for the Lord. I'm buying flowers for the Lord. It'll be used for decorating the Lord. So you just use the right motive and right mindset, and then and gradually one might master it. It's not like I'm telling this because I've mastered it. I'm just telling this as a reminder for myself that one has to be conscious of the activities they perform and for the service of the Lord. So that comes from practice. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.